Okay, I want to talk a little bit about my husband. I don't think I'm gonna upload this to YouTube, and if I do, I'm gonna make it private. Today is Monday, President's Day, February 20th, 2023. Now, I want to talk a little bit about my relationship with Tracy. Now, I met him in Utah back in 1982. Is it 82? Yeah, 1982. Why I keep answering these when I'm wrong at that number. Okay, anyway, I met him. I'm gonna say 1982, 81. Maybe it was 1981. It could have been 1980, 81. So no, it has to be 1981 because you gotta stay in Job Corps for 2 years before you get dismissed, because they pay you to go, but you got to stay for 2 years. And then when you leave, I think on the month on the anniversary of you going there, they give you, I think it's like $4,000 or something. Yeah, I can do it $4,000. So I met him in Job Corps. I'm trying to see how long I was there. I think I was there maybe for 6 months, and I met him. And my first birthday, which had to be the next year, when I got there, I think I got there like the end of one year, going into the next year of my birthday. So if I had Terrence when I was 20, I got pregnant when I was 19, had him when I was 20, so that means I had to go there when I was 18. So I'm just coming out of high school. So I could have sworn I got out of high school 79. Yeah. So I didn't go straight into there. So I'm going to say around 80. I went there in 80, and I got pregnant in 81. No. I got pregnant in 82 and had Terrence in 83. So I'm presuming, I believe I was there for a year. No. Yeah, I was there for a year because I had a birthday, March the 8th, 1982. I had to be there. And the end of 1982, I had to get pregnant because she was born February. No, she was born July. So around September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. 8 months pregnant. You got to be pregnant for 9 months. So anyway, me and calculations wrong. Me and math, I'm bad at math. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to stay with the fundamentals of the story. We met in Utah. I got pregnant. I went to California while I was pregnant. In my 8.5 months, my mom, maybe in January, between January and February, I came back to the States, back to New York. Gave birth to my son, March the 5th, 1983. Let me say March 18th or something like that, he came to New York. And we had to wait. We got married in March 23rd of 1983. Because we had to wait like 2 weeks before we could get married, because we had to wait 2 weeks before our blood test came back. We had to come back with the blood test. Right? So, I need to freeze this. So now, we got married. Tracy was young. I was young. Stayed in California. Went back. Came back to New York I had to come back while I was still pregnant. She came to New York in March. And we got married. We still stayed with my grandmother. I think we got our apartment. Yeah, we got our apartment when I got pregnant with Mary's. So actually, I think I conceived Mary in Mommy's house, but I didn't deliver her in Mommy's house. Yeah, Tandra. I brought Tandra home. But I remember Mommy saying, okay, that's yours. I'm not going to get attached to no one. You take care of that baby. I got Terrence. So the baby stayed in my room. And sometimes baby would cry out. My grandmother would come and say, Sharon, bring me that baby. And then she would watch the baby while. Because I'm telling you, taking care of Terrence and Tandra was a doozy. But I have to say, because my grandmother was there, my grandmother did help me with them while I was in her house. Now, and I'm sure she would have did a whole lot more if I had asked her for help. I never left my kids for her to babysit. Wherever I went, I took my kids, or I would leave my kids in the house. One time I left my kids for Mommy to babysit, and that was when Tandra was born. And Tandra was walking around and all that other stuff. But before that, as far as I can remember, my kids stayed in my house. She didn't know what was going on in the house. She didn't have no idea what was happening unless the Lord told her. But if the Lord told her, she never said nothing to me. So, okay, moving right along. Now, I guess I have to be honest with myself and be truthful with myself. Is that I don't think I ever loved it, Tracy. Because there was a certain type of love that I was looking for, number one. That's why I can say now that when you go into a marriage unsaved, you should at least try to go open-minded. Don't go with the picket fence and the house and the cars and the perfect husband. Don't go in with that type of perspective, because then you're going to be disappointed. If your husband is saved, if you save and your husband saved, then you got a chance to have a very good marriage. But going into an unsaved marriage with a man or a woman that has their own perspective of what love should be, not so much of what they wanted. Because see, if it was based on what the husband or the wife wants it, it's a possibility that the marriage will go good. Like, see, I'm not going to say I wanted a picket fence and a car and a house. I just wanted a man to love me because that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a love that was totally different from my father, that was different from my grandmother, that was different from the people in the church, that was different from my classmates in school. I was looking for a man to love me. Love me for who I was, because I had my flaws. And when I say my flaws, I mean I had things about me that I didn't like. So in other words, whatever I didn't like about me, I wanted my husband to be able to tell me, you still look good, baby. Don't you worry about nothing. I didn't want my husband to agree with me, even if he did, but I didn't want him to agree with me. So some honesty, I love honesty, but in some honesties, when it comes down to my feelings as far as how I'm looking, if I'm already have a bad self-esteem, I don't want a man who's going to be truthful. Well, you know what, you don't look good, but you have a good personality. No, I don't want to hear that, because looks is what carries the world today. You see what I'm saying? And that's why being saved, we can't go upon looks. We can base salvation on how a person looks. Okay? So that's what I was looking for. So I went and got married. Why did I get married? So I'm going to be honest with you. I was kind of forcing that marriage. I was forcing it. Not forced because of my grandmother. Not forced because of Bishop. That's what Bishop Mingo, my aunt. That's why when they said Wednesday night, that some, not this Wednesday night, Wednesday before that, that people got dealt with husbands due to the fact of the saints. But I didn't want to elaborate and get into it because my perspective of it is based on my experience. You see what I'm saying? So it's not so much as people stay with a man due to the fact of saints telling. Okay, let me take that back. Maybe so. Maybe some did stay because the saints told them that's what you're supposed to do. Okay. What? With me, I married person because I had a baby. Right? Now, not so much because I loved her. Because when I think about it, when I left California, I no longer loved her. Because see, how I am, who I love, is who I'm going to be with. I ain't going to be running the streets with this man and love this man. I ain't going to be trying to make this man jealous by being with this man when I don't even care nothing about this man. Because this man, who I care about, is who I'm going to project my feelings towards. So even if I'm playing hard to get or whatever, there's going to be something there to let that guy know that I like him. Right? So, that being said, once I went to California and I went through all that situations and I went to getting this and getting herpes. I think it was herpes. Is that what the lady said was herpes? Herpes. What's the other one? Yeah, I think it was herpes that I got from Tracy. Apart from getting herpes from him, and he slapping me up in the room and locking me up in there, you know what I'm saying, for a whole day, and he doing what he want, bringing his girls in the house and all this other stuff, and whenever me and him would argue, he would want to slap me up and fight me and all this stuff. All that went down in California. So when he gave me a black eye due to the fact that I didn't want to sex him, and I hit him, yes, I did hit him, and he tried to bust my face in. And I'm looking in the mirror at myself, and I'm saying to myself, you don't have to go for this. So now here's the thing. God was making ways for me to get out of there before I even married. Before I even married this dude. God made provision. Mommy wanted me to stay there, to have the baby, so that his parents could see the baby. And then once they see the baby, I take the baby and I leave Tracy there. That was the perspective that I was presuming mommy wanted. And to be honest, that's how I was looking at it, because I was telling her, I'm ready to go. I want to go. I was going from house to house. There really was no place for me to stay. And see, that was the thing. Neither one of us saw it. I didn't see it, and mommy didn't see it. Because I feel like if mommy would have saw it, paid attention to it, or even gave heed to it, then I wouldn't be married to Tracy. I would have had Terrence by him, but I wouldn't have been married to him. So I would have been free to marry whoever I wanted. All them, the Douglas that I met, the Sean that I met, I would have been able to go on and marry them if I wanted to, because I wouldn't have had no ties. Yes, I commit fornication. Well, I didn't even. Well, yeah, I commit fornication because I had, I had Terrence before I was married. But then Tandra, that's just would have been different. Tandra and Mary may not would have been born. Maybe Danielle would have been born. You see what I'm saying? But those two, Tandra and Mary wouldn't have been born, because I wouldn't have been with Tracy. Now, if I would have had a Tandra, that she probably would have been another name, and if I would have had a Mary, maybe she would have still been Mary, because mommy would have still been in the picture. And Tandra probably would have been Friedel instead of Tandra. I'm not going to say I wouldn't have had those children, but they wouldn't have been by him. Okay? And I would have been free to go on and do what I'm doing. If I'm in the world, I would have been going having my kids. But then the only thing is that they probably would have been by different. Tandra and Mary would have been by the same man. And Terrence probably would have been by another father, by another man. So I would have had two where I only got one different father, child by a different father. There would have been two children by a different father. Or should I say three? Because Tandra and Mary would have had the same father. And then Tandra would have had. So that would have been three different fathers. Because Terrence is a father, which would have been Tracy, and Tandra and Mary would have been a father, and Danielle would have been a father. So, in the perspective, that's how it would have looked. That's how it would have been, if we just logically look at it in another perspective. So now, I did not want to marry him. When I came back to New York City, the guy that I was talking to while I was in California, I was boo-hooing to him. I was telling him what was going on. He could hear Tracy in the background and all that different stuff. And he was telling me that, you know what? When you get here, don't worry about it. Don't worry about him. Leave him. Come on. And I was like, ain't no way. And he kept telling me that he was going to send for me. He was going to send the money to me, and I kept telling him, no, that's all right. So one day, and this is where we get back to the Lord. Mommy, well, I ain't going to say one day. One of the days during our conversation, let me put it like this. I was having a conversation with Mommy, as I normally do, and this particular day, she said to me, listen, she said, go see if you can find an apartment or whatever it is, because she said apartments. Back then, I'm about to make a mess. She said, see if you can get your apartment. She said, when you get your apartment, let me know how much it is monthly. She said, and I'll help you with it. Now, I believe I was getting money. You see what I'm saying? And I wasn't even thinking California probably helped you. I don't know whether it helped like New York, but I'm just going to say California probably helped you, right? And probably would have, who knows, I probably would have been able to get Section 8 out there. Who knows? Nobody was really helping me. Mommy was trying to do her best. And the only thing that mommy knew, because mommy was paying her own rent, she didn't have a subsidy helping her. Her rent was coming out of her check that she got every month. So she ain't know nothing. I ain't know nothing. I'm a young girl. When I left Utah, I went home for a week, and then from maybe a week or 2 weeks, and then from there I went straight to California. So his family members didn't even try to help me. They just had me running from place to place. They didn't even try to put me on no type of subsidy except for public assistance because they wasn't going to take care of me. And out there, it was considered the county. So they went, once they found out that I was pregnant, once his mother found out I was pregnant, she must have passed it on to her daughters. And her daughters took me along with Tracy to the county building and signed me up to be on public assistance. I keep saying public assistance, but signed me up to be on the county. Now, upon getting on the county, they found out, I guess they found out when my check was coming, whatever, because they had she on the air, she opened her case, she should be getting this and that. Okay, that was my money. Nobody didn't ask me for no money. They didn't even ask me for rent to pay, right? And I guess they couldn't ask me for rent because their son was living there rent-free and wasn't working. So they couldn't ask me for nothing. But me and my dumb and naive self, if they had asked me for something, I probably would have been there paying for me and him. Okay. So now, not even knowing anything, not even knowing nothing about business and stuff like that, I didn't know that I could have, see, if I knew then what I know now, I would have been looking around California, walking around, trying to find me, not only trying to find a place, but going to looking and searching it up. I don't even think they had computers back then. But I don't know, whatever it was, if I just had to go to the library and search around to find out what type of housing assistance that they give out there, right? So now, with that being said, I had to leave his mother's house because his brother was coming home, which was her other son, was coming home. So now we got to find some place to go, right? So this is before my grandmother told me, because once I left there, I don't know how it happened that I went to stay with his sister, right? Once I got to his sister's house, right, I very seldom saw them, his parents, because they lived it on the other side. I didn't know too much about traveling. So the only way I would get to them if they would drive me, because his sister and his brother-in-law had a car. So I didn't get to travel. I didn't get to go around in California. I didn't get to go any place. I didn't get to do too much. All I was in the house with the baby because I'm pregnant. The parents didn't do nothing. The parents just worked every single day, came home. They all had crazy hours. His mother worked it from 6 to 12. No, his mother worked it from 3 to 12 at night, and his father worked it from 6 to 3. So y'all can about see there was nobody in the house with me and him because everybody was out. The mother leaving 3 in the afternoon. The father leaves 6 o'clock in the morning. So the mother is there, but the mother's in her room. She's not, I mean, we did interact a little bit, but when she found out that I was pregnant, she dropped me like a hot potato. Now, before she found out I was pregnant, she took me in the car. She let me see Mike Tyson's house. She took me over to Beverly Hills. She drove me around, let me see places. She showed me where she worked. She worked at this hotel called the Grand Hotel, which is the main hotel that up to the president. So if you was anybody, that was the big hotel that you would sleep in. That's where you would go. And so she told me that. Well, she met the president. I think Reagan was the president at the time. How long ago was it? So anyway, when she would come home, I would come out with her and we would sit and we would talk and stuff like that. We call it that. She was teaching me certain things, telling me certain things. But she was talking to me, but she never was talking to her son. She never would say nothing. She's patient. Okay, give me a second. What's wrong?
I wanted to stay with you for a little bit. That because I don't know when my mom left. I didn't see her with no clothes on, but she just had it white and black and gray dress on her.
Okay, you gotta step out because I'm doing something right now. I'm doing not a video, but an audio. And I'm doing some talking, and I don't need you here right now, okay?
Okay.
When I'm done, I don't know where your mother at. Your mother couldn't have went far. She probably went to the store or something.
Okay.
When I'm done, I'm calling.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll just get something to drink.
Okay. I can't talk when somebody's in the room with me. Like, I really want to talk. You know, especially not in front of children, because, you know, children be in your mouth. They be looking at you and stuff like that. But anyway. So, once his mother found out I was pregnant, his mother did not interact with me anymore. She backed off from me. The only time I would see her if I happened to come out or go in the kitchen and run into her. And I caught on that she didn't want to be bothered with me. So I stayed in the room. I didn't come out a lot. They would have family company. The daughters would come over. And they would do whatever they going to do. And, you know, they would go inside the parents' room and stay in there. They was staying there for hours. Tracy being there for hours. I used to wonder what the crazy... I found out later on what they was doing in there. But at the time, I didn't know. I was so lonely. I mean, so that's what caused me to start talking to this guy. His name was Maurice. And I started talking to him. He was from my night school. And I had liked him, right? I had liked him. I guess it was more so as a crush on him. I had a big crush on him. And when he took the time to talk to me, I was like, oh, sweat. He talking to me? You know, it was one of those things. And so we would talk, right? But then he disappeared from school. He wasn't coming to school for a long time. And then there was this other guy there that was named Cedric that I didn't even know liked me. But he was one of them kids that would walk in and they would be clowning all the time. But he told me later on that he would do that a whole lot to get my attention because I always stayed to myself. You know, I didn't interact with anybody in the class. But I was very into my classwork. You know, the teacher asked questions. I was always asking questions, answering, and stuff like that. And then I was always the last to leave and the last to get there. I was always late. But a lot of times, no, I won't say the last one. I guess I had normal attendance. But this guy, Cedric, he will always come last. Last, and I say late. And every time he would come, he would always be making a whole lot of noise, cracking jokes. And, I'd be laughing inside. I'd be like, this dude is crazy. But I wasn't thinking that because I was more so into Maurice. And then I would always look, I would never get a chance to sit next to him because by the time that was an English class. That's why I say my major was English because I had to take up English. So I got to really learn about English and how to word your words and blah, 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 blah. So that class was always packed, right? Always packed. So Maurice he will be there. He would be the first one there. Every time I would come into the class, he would be there. So where he was sitting at an angle that whoever would pass the room would see him. Whoever came into the room, he's the first person that you see. Now, there's more people there, but he was so tall and he had a distinguished look about him. And, he was just a nice looking dude. I'll put it that way. And so every time I would come in late, it'd be him that I would see, and he would give me that face like he was glad to see me, but he never said nothing to me. Right? Okay. So that went on for a while. So one day I came in late, and when I sat down, I happened to get a seat next to him, like right across from him. Not because the seats was two seats together and then the next row. So the two seats that was together, I mean, he was so tall or whatever. Unless the room was crowded, nobody really sat next to him. I don't know. It was just something about his presence that people really, you know, oh, I ain't sitting next to him. He looked like he gonna just devour me up. So I never really got a chance to sit next to him because he was long-legged and all this stuff. He was built big, stuff like that. But anyway, and not to say that I like these kind of men, because I don't, but it was just something about, I don't like tall men. I don't like built men. Just the average man. You see what I'm saying? In my height. I don't want no tall one because you intimidate me, right? But at that time, being young, I didn't know why. I didn't like them type. But just like I said, it was just something about him that drew me to him. And it was like I felt his inner spirit, his nature, his personality. And he was quiet too. He didn't make a whole lot of noise. He didn't even participate in the class. He was there, once I found out, he was there because he had to pass. He needed that credit. That's what it was about. He needed that credit. So the teacher that was teaching did not force the students to participate. You just had to show up. He let us know that from the beginning. He said, if you show up, I'm going to pass you. If you show up and pass your tests, I'm going to pass you. Whether you study, whether you be here on time to learn stuff, as long as you show up and sign the attendance sheet and pass the test, I'm going to pass you. Pass it with I think a 65. I think that was the passing grade, 65. I'm going to pass you. So, everybody that came, that's what they came for. I and maybe a few others was the one that was probably the only ones that was interested in the class. So anyway, this day I came in after maybe about 2 weeks that Maurice didn't show up. So I was like, he must have quit. Right? He must have quit. Not knowing his story because we wasn't talking then. I said he must have. Let me see. Did we talk yet? Oh, no. We didn't talk yet. Wait. I'm trying to think. I think we did talk. We was conversating. I think we had exchanged numbers. Yeah, we did exchange numbers. I did go to his house. Yeah, I missed all that, right? I did go to his house and stuff. That's when I found out about cable, HBO. Remember, cable was just HBO at one time. So I did go to his house and all that stuff like that, right? So after that happened, I I he stopped coming. He wasn't coming no more, right? And normally, and because of how I feel about myself, I thought it was something that I did. So I was calling him and all that. I was distraught and all that different stuff, right? So he says to me, no, he didn't say nothing. This guy, Cedric, comes in this particular day, this particular night, because it was night school. And he's making all this noise and everybody's cracking up. Some people's cracking up and some people's just like considering him to be annoying. He was from Jamaica, right? But I didn't really know he was from Jamaica because he didn't do too much talking. He just would come, hey, da, 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 what's up, like that, right? He didn't even flaunt his accent that much. So this particular day when he came in, all the seats was taken except for the seat I was in, right? And the seat I was in was the seat that Maurice sat in. And this was the first time, well, maybe it was more times, but I'm going to go by my memory. This is the first time that I got to class. I made a decision I'm going to get to class early so I can get his seat. So when he come in, he got no other choice but to sit next to me, right? He going to tell me where he was. So I got there early this day, and teacher even looked at me and said, "Oh, what's going on here? You were." I said, "Yeah, I left my house in time so I can get here early." Keep it up. That's good. So I sat in his seat. Everybody came. Everybody knew that was his seat, right? And nobody would sit with me. I don't know whether I can't really remember whether people detected that we was together or boyfriend girlfriend. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think we were seeing each other, and people in the class knew that we were seeing each other. So if they were sitting in his seat, they didn't sit no more, because now that's how it was. I came in one time and there was no seats but his, and I was kind of nervous. And the teacher was like, "All right, Sharon, take a seat so we can continue with the class." And so I'm looking at him, and he's looking over at the seat like it's on his seat. So he gave me that indication, like a nod, to come and sit down. So from then on, that was my seat. Nobody ever sat in the seat before that. But if anybody did try to sit in the seat prior to me sitting there, I guess he'd tell them no. Because now we sitting, we talking, and we having conversation. He was very intelligent. He had a semi sense of humor, but it was more on the serious side sense of humor. Like, you're late, so why you late? It's surprising to see you. You was a late girl. You need to be here on time. That type of thing. That's funny, but it's the truth. It's serious. So, once I found out that he had a sense of humor, that was down my, you can you make Sharon laugh. You got a chance to talk to her, because I love laughing. So, he didn't come. 3 weeks now, he didn't come. So this particular time when I got there, I just decided I'm going to start back going late again. So that when I got there this time, um, Cedric was there. So you knew I was late because Cedric was the late one. Right, that's how it was. So it was only the seat next to Cedric now. So I'm like, oh, the first thing I said, oh my God, I got to sit next to this loud dude. And it was like some of the classmates knew what I was thinking. They started laughing. The teacher's like, come on in and have a seat, Sharon. So he is like, come on over here. There's a seat over here all loud. And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at the class, and the class looking at me like, so what are you going to do? So I went and sat down, of course. I sat down next to him, and all he did was talk. I sat down. He probably was quiet for 5 minutes. And I'm going to give him that, because I'm dragging it. And I guess when he looked and saw 5 minutes was up, he said, so how you been? So I'm like, I'm good. He said, I thought you wasn't coming today. So I kind of frowned up my face, and I looked over at him. I said, what are you doing? You're clocking me? I thought he was going to say, no, no. He said, yep. He said, I'll be looking for you every single day when I come in. I'm like, well, now he just point blank. So I've blunt. So I found out that he's a blunt person, right? So anyway, making a long story short, in that perspective, in that area. So we began talking, right? We would meet up and we would go walking, and we would talk on the phone and stuff like that. Even with us talking, I still was looking for Maurice, right? So one day I went to Maurice's house. Don't ask me where he lived at right now, because I don't remember. But I found his house. I went up in the building. I knocked on the door, and nobody answered. So I'm saying to myself, he must be ain't got no parents. You see what I'm saying? You going to night school. That I'm not thinking that you living on your own going to night school, right? So I comes out. Now this is early. Maybe this is like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. I stayed there. There's a park. It was a park like right across from his building. I stayed in that park from 9 o'clock to about 8, 9 o'clock that night. 12 hours, right? That's 12 hours. Huh? He didn't know I was there. When I saw him Turn the corner coming to this building. I rushed. I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, what is it with that? I ain't seen him in so long, so I was excited to see him, for one thing. Right? So I walked across the street. He didn't see me. And I said, Maurice. And he stopped. And he turned around and he saw me. Right? When he saw me, I mean, that is a moment I'll never forget because his face lit up in such a way like he just wanted to pick me up and hug me, whatever the case may be. It was, but then he kind of like composed himself. And I kind of caught on that I think I came out the wrong time because there was people there as well. And people was looking at him, right? So I was like, what happened? I said, you ain't been to school in a while. What's going on? I've been looking for you. I just had a whole 1,000 questions. What's going on? All my emotions was coming out. So he came and grabbed me. He grabbed my elbow and he took me back across the street to the park. He said, listen, I'm sorry. He said, I'm very sorry. He said, I had to take care of some business. And I'm like, this business is so important that you can't come to school? I said, you know that if you don't pass your classes, you're going to get left back. And I'm looking at him like, and you look like you need to get out the 12th grade. That's what's in my head. But he was like, I know. He said, I got some situation, I got some issues. I'm like, what kind of issues? I was sounding like a wife, I'm telling you. And he was just smiling like, oh, I like this. He said, wow, I ain't never seen you like this. He said, I like this in you. You really concerned about me. Am I detecting a little jealousy? I was like, jealousy? I said, that's what this sounds like. I said, no, I'm not jealous. I said, do I have a reason to be jealous? And so he got silent. So now I'm saying, what's going on, Maury? So come to find out, he had a baby mama. Come to find out, he was 25 or 26 years old. And I think he was saying that he was in college or wanted to go to college. But in order to get in there, he had to complete that credit of his high school. Because when he went back to high school to get his transcript, I think he said his high school told him that he has to get a credit for English. Or something. Like, let's say he had 25 credits. He had to get 28 credits. And in order to get it, he had to up it in his English major. So that's why and that school that we was going to was connected to my school and I guess his school. So that's why he was able to go there to get that credit. And they would transfer the credit from the school to his transcript and then he'll be able to go on to college. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know whether it's like that today or not. So he was explaining that to me. And I'm saying to myself, I said, so you ain't in high school? He said, no. He said, I have a child. I think he said he was 26. I think at that time I must have was 17. Because I was still in school, so I had to be about 17. I wasn't 16, I had to be 17. I said, oh my goodness. So I'm saying to myself, that's probably why it appealed to me. From then on, I only liked older men. He was the first man that I went with that was older than me. But not knowing that he was 26, 25, 26 years old, I'm thinking he's just a tall man. No wonder he had that height and that fatigue about himself because he was a man. Anyway, so a grown man at that. So anyway, so we went on with that. And he was like, yeah, I'm coming back to school. I'm coming back to school. Like, blah, 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 blah. So he never came back. So I'm trying to think of him. He said, no, what he did tell me, he said, I'm not sure I'm coming back, but if I am, you'll see me in class. That's what he said. So that was bad. I hate he said that because every single day I was looking for him in class. So I had to finally, Cedric was there. So Cedric would take my mind. And let me tell you how much Cedric was watching me. Because he was like, what's the matter? Cheer up. What's wrong? Your boyfriend is not here today? And then he looking around the classroom. He said, come to find out your boyfriend ain't been here for almost 3 months. Is he still in school? Oh, you like them tall, petite-built men, huh? So you wouldn't talk to nobody little and scrawny like me. He had me laughing, though. He made me laugh. I said, shut up, Cedric. He said, oh. He said, now I get to shut up. He had me laughing. That's what got me liking him. So we talked after class. He When class was finished, he said, "Can I take you to there was a Burger King over there." He said, "Can I take you to Burger King?" So I looked at him and I said, "You serious?" He said, "What?" He said, "You don't eat Burger King?" I said, "Yeah, but I never heard nobody say, 'Can I take you to McDonald's? Can I take you to Burger King?'" In my perspective, it's like, "Can I take you on a date? Do you want a burger?" You know what I'm saying? Can I is a date word. I said, "So is this a date?" He was like, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, sweat." I'm laughing, right? And I'm looking at him, but he's serious. I said, "You serious?" When I'm thinking about it now. I'm cracking up because I'm thinking about it. But anyway, he said, "What?" I'm serious. That's when I heard his accent. Because all before, it was one word. It was one word. I mean, I guess he knew how to cover up his accent, you know. So when he said what? He said a man can't take a woman to Burger King on a date. I said, hold up. I said, you are West Indian? He said, why? You got something against? I said, who you from? I said, where you from? He said, I'm Jamaican. I said, oh. He said, what? You got something against Jamaicans? I said, no. I said, I don't know no Jamaican. Well, I ain't going to say I don't know no Jamaican because at that time, our church was full with Jamaicans and Bajans and Trinidadians. We had a whole lot of West Indian people in our church at that time. So I was like, no, no, not at all, not at all. And I was intrigued with it because he actually could be serious. And I just kept telling him in Burger King, I said, I'm really like surprised. He said, why are you surprised? I said, because you come into the class, like this jokingly guy, just there to be there to interrupt the class and interrupt the teaching, crack jokes and stuff. He said, can I tell you something? I said, yeah, don't stop now. He said, I did all that to get your attention. I said, wait a minute. He cracking up laughing. But he said, your face is priceless. He said, what? He said, you don't, it was like he could read me. He said, what? You don't think that you don't think that you're worth a guy acting crazy to get to talk to? I said, nah. I said, please, I'm just a church girl. I'm quiet and all. He said, yeah, you are quiet. Oh, so that's why you wear the skirts a lot. Okay, I understand. He said, but you you have a how did he say? He said you have I think demeanor. He said you have a demeanor about you, a way about you. I said what? He said you you have this standoff image. Is it image? He said, well, I'm gonna use image because I don't remember what he said. He's saying what I mean, and it's not a bad thing. He said, but let me see if I can explain it. He said, you don't interact with people and you don't allow people to interact with you. If you don't want to be bothered, it's just something about you that let people know you don't want to be bothered. He said, and maybe that is why you and Maurice, he even knew the dude name. You and Maurice, tall, he would make fun. He said, that's probably you and tall guy. Reason why you and tall guy got along. He said, because that's the same thing he portrayed. And he was like, what type of person, what type of man was he? So I explained it to him. He said, yeah. He said, see, y'all clap. He said, see, me and you is opposite. He said, so do you think we'll get along? I said, well, yeah, we're getting along now. He said, yeah, exactly. They always say opposite. He was very intelligent. When he began talking to me, he talked about life. He talked about his parents. He talked about his parents own a business. They're very popular. Is that the word? Or you say they're in other words, they're rich. He said so, you know, a lot of women, he said, that's another reason why I act the way I act, because I don't want women to fall in love with me or like me or go out with me because of my money. He said, I don't tell nobody nothing about me. He said, I'm in school. He said, the only reason why I'm in school is because I'm trying to, what he said? I'm trying to advance something, he said. He said, so that he can get his visa or something. Well, I ain't going to say visa. Something. He said, I'm trying to advance myself. Oh, he said, I'm trying to open up a business out here. He said, we together, you can work with me. He said, I'll take care of you. I mean, he was talking future life. And here I am, 17 years old. So, we I don't know, it was just something about him that touched my heart, right? So now I'm in a battle between the both of them, because now I get a call. Well, let me put it like this: Maurice shows up to class one day, right? But he shows up like maybe about 10 minutes before the class is over. You know what I'm saying? So after the teacher do his teaching or whatever, then he gives us the rest of the minutes, either it's 5, 10 minutes, to ourselves to interact with one another and joke, laugh. He'll step out and go into another room where the other teachers is. Or he would just sit there and I don't know what to say, whether he was on the phone. Maybe there was a phone then. I think there was a phone. So he came into the class. When I saw him walking, oh my God, you just have no idea. Well, I guess if you're a woman, you know. And I think Cedric wasn't there this day. It was just so weird. Cedric wasn't there, if I'm correct. Or either he was there, but because Cedric knew how I felt about him, he kind of like didn't say too much to me to let Maurice know that we was interacting and stuff like that. He like stuck to himself and stuff, whatever. I don't know. I can't remember whether he was there now. But I know when I looked up, I saw him at the door and he walked in. I guess he saw my face and he started with, there was a certain way he would smile, like, yeah, I see you miss me, that type of thing. So anyway, I went to his house. He gave me a gift. That was the first time I got introduced to Citizen watch. He gave me a nice, so I hold that watch like forever. Forever. The band popped, and I think I wound up selling it or something because I guess it was worth, however it was. But anyway, not even talk about him, let's stay with Cedric. So, I think the last day of school, no, not the last day of school. He came to school the next week, Cedric. And I guess I can tell this. I had gotten pregnant by him. And we was talking on the phone. And I said to him, well, me and him was joking though. I said, what would I say to you? What would you do if I told you I was pregnant? He said, Sharon. He said, stop playing. I said, what? Pregnant? What are you talking about? I'm making a big joke about it. He said, well, he said, I'll take care of it. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that one minute. He said, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of you. He said, you think I'm joking? He said, I don't want to put words. I don't know whether he said I love you or like you, but the way he said it, if he said I like you, I took it for love. If he said I love you, I took it for love because I felt it. You see what I'm saying? And we didn't do nothing but talk. I went to his house. Yes, we did have sex. And that's it. It wasn't no biggie. He was very business minded. He wasn't that type of guy that ran the street. He wasn't even that type of guy that called me all the time. You see what I'm saying? Once I got into him, he stopped coming to school. He was another Maurice. I'm like, what is going on with these men? And come to find out, he said he did all of that, just like he said, to get my attention and to get me interested in and know that I belong to him. Then he can go and pursue what he wanted. He said, I wanted to get you. He told me straightforward. He said, and when he said this the last time I seen him, and the last time he came to school. And he said, I got to tell you something. He had told me that over the phone after I told him that I think I was pregnant or whatever the case may be. And he didn't come that next week that I told him that I was pregnant. The next week he came, and by the next week that he came, I was really pregnant. I was really pregnant. I don't remember taking tests, but I guess, yeah, I did take a test. I did take a test. I did get pregnant. I was pregnant. I was training to be auxiliary police, and in the process of that, I was throwing up. I was dizzy. I was falling out and stuff like that. A lot of things that was going on. And come to find out, my girlfriend made me go get a test, and I took the test, and sure enough, I was pregnant. Okay. So now this is the real conversation. So he tells me when we see each other that the last time, he's explaining to me. This is before I actually told him for real I was pregnant. Because when we was talking and I was joking, he was like, well, I'll take care. I said, nah, I'm not pregnant. I just wanted to know what you would do. He said, listen, he said, don't play with me like that. He said, I take care of my responsibilities. He said, and not only my responsibilities, I take care of my woman. That's what he said. He said, my mama taught me well and told me to take care of my woman. My father took care of my mother, and I see that, and I said and promised that that's what I'm going to do, right? So now it's the last day of school. He came to school, because I ain't seen him like 2 weeks since the time we was talking. And now I'm trying to figure out why he stopped. I said, well, this must be got something to do with me. I said, first Maurice disappeared. After he gave me the watch, I ain't see him no more. He ain't come to school no more. And now I get mixed up with Cedric. I don't see him no more. He ain't come. Lord, I'm saying to myself, Lord, what is this about? I'm too holy. I'm too sanctified. I wasn't saying that. So, anyway, I went on to school, feeling kind of in the dumps. Already, my mind done let go of Maurice. I ain't gonna see him no more. We ain't got nothing to do with each other no more, right? Uh, Now I'm on Cedric, and he's going. I ain't see him, so I get to class. I'm late as always. I get to class. I look up. He's sitting in our seat, because that was our seat now. Maurice stopped coming, so that's our seat. Well, no. That was our seat. He sat next to me that day because that was the only seat available, and I was sitting in Maurice's seat. And that's how he picked up that I liked it, because every time he would come, I would always be sitting across from him, right in the next row. Same row he in, but in the next row of the seats. So I'm next to him, but I'm not sitting next to him. So every time after me and Maurice started talking, I started sitting in Maurice's seat. So that way I'll be there. Everybody knew that we was dating or whatever. But then when I started talking to him, right, I ain't seen him in a while. So when he would come, he would just come and sit wherever he could sit at, right? So this particular day, he got there before me. This particular night, he was there before me. So when I walked in, somebody was sitting in Maurice's seat, but he was sitting in the seat that I normally sat in when he first met me, and he would come into the classroom, and that's by the window. So that was the only seat available, because for this particular time, Maurice's seat wasn't even. People were sitting in that seat too. We had a full class. So I sat next to him, and he was like, oh, good to see you. So I looked up at him. I said, you too, right? He said, man, I have to talk to you after class. He said, can I go get your chicken sandwich? Because that's all I would eat. I would eat the Burger King chicken sandwich. He said, we're going to stop there and need to chat. I said, okay. So after class, I was in there talking to the teacher, and the teacher was telling me where I was and my grades and stuff like that. So when I finished the teacher, we went to Burger King. We sat down, because I could eat. I must say like two. I think I was on my second one, the half of it, and plus I'm eating like crazy now. And he was like, your appetite increased. So told him, I said, I'm pregnant. He said, for real? So now I'm telling the truth now. I said, yeah, I'm pregnant, for real. He grabbed my hand. He said, oh my goodness. He hugged me. He said, I'm so happy. He said, I'm going to take care of you and da 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 da. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't thinking about school. I wasn't thinking about nothing. This man said he's going to take care of me. Wherever he going, I'm going. Because that was in me. That if I ever got pregnant by a man, that's who I'm going to marry and I'm going to follow him. Even though the Bible say the man going to leave his parents, not the woman leave the parents. The man going to, now you think about it, the man going to leave his parents and cleave to that woman. So wherever that woman is, that's where he going to be at. There we go. Let's remember that next time they start talking about women leaving men. I mean, following the man. Okay. So now he said, I said, oh, okay, okay. He said, so what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know. I said, in our religion, we don't believe in abortions like that, right? I said, but, things happen, if things come about and you got no other choice and you got to do what you do. He said, no. He said, we don't want you to get no. We don't want you to get rid of it. We want you to have it like that, right? He said, but here's the thing. You got to make a decision. I said, I got to make a decision. I said, I thought we was in this together. He said, we are. He said, but something went down back in Jamaica. So I said, what? He said, me got to go there. I said, what? I said, you going? I said, you coming back like 2 weeks or so? He said, no, me got to stay down there. He said, I think he said something happened to somebody in the family. I don't know whether it was his family, with his mother, father. I think it was his father, but I don't know. Something happened, and he got to go down, and he got to run the business. And, he'll be taking care of me. He'll send up money to me. He'll send, stuff for the baby, whatever, all that stuff. He said, I'll help. He said, I told you I was going to take care of you and the baby, and that's what I mean. So I'm like, I'm saying to myself, I said, I know my grandmother ain't going for this. She is not going for this. This man ain't in her sight. I don't think so. And so, I was kind of sad and stuff like that. And he kept holding my hand and assuring me, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back, right? He said, I'm going to call you when you get home. So when I got home, this story is supposed to be about Tracy, but I got to go through all this, I guess, to get to Tracy. So when we get to when I get home, right? Sure enough, he calls me. It's late though, so he don't do too much talking. I think he calls me the next day, right? And my grandmother answers the phone. That's hard. Right, there you go. So, so he calls. I'm trying to think. My grandmother knew I was pregnant. She found out. Well, she ain't found out. She knew by the way my body looked. She was telling me things that I didn't know. I didn't go to her to get no pads. So that's one thing she said that let her know that I was pregnant, and my chest was getting bigger and my stomach was getting bigger. So come to find out, when I looked in the mirror, I was pregnant. So he called. She answered the phone. She said, "Who is this?" Cedric. "Oh, so you's the one that got Sharon pregnant?" So he must have said yes. "So what are your plans?" So he must have told him to take care of her. He said, "Are you going to marry her?" So I saw Mommy's face going, So he must have said, "Yeah, I'll marry her." Like that, right? "Oh, so you love her, huh?" And I'm like, he never told me that. Let me find out he just saying things to get Mommy off the phone. So I was like, "Oh my goodness, he loves me." Wow, this is deep right here, right? So anyway, so Mommy gave me the phone, so we talking. He said, "So now this is the thing." He said, "I wanted to talk to you first, and then I was going to talk to your mother, your grandmother." I said, "Talk to me about what?" He said, "I want you," he said, "I know you heard me tell your grandmother that I love you, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "So I want you to come with me." So I was like, "Come with you? Come with you where?" He said, "To Jamaica." He said, "I want you to come over here with me and stay with me in Jamaica." He said, "And then we'll come back to America together." He said, "I just got to stay down there." I think he said for a year. He said, "I got to stay down there for a year, get his business together and stuff like that. And then I'll come back to America with you. And we can start our family in America." So I'm like, I said, "Well, you got to ask my grandmother that." He said, "I'm going to ask." He said, he said, "I wanted to know how you feel about it. Would you, that's all the way across the seas. Are you willing to do stuff? You're leaving your family behind. You're leaving your education behind. You're starting a whole new life in a new world." I said, "Well, I'm okay with it." I told him I'm okay with it. I think I was more bolder back then when I was 17 than I am now. So we definitely know I wouldn't have had these kids if I'd have went to Jamaica. So I gave the phone back to Mommy. He told Mommy what he told me and then some. And Mommy said, "What? To where? Oh, no." No, no, no. You're not taking her nowhere. I'm sorry. She's too young to be going, blah, 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 blah. When I say blah, 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 there was all that stuff that they talked amongst themselves, being that he was a man and she was a woman. So I was like, Mommy was like, She said, "What you think? I'm crazy? You take her over there and you do it. You do what you want to do with her." And so I guess he was saying, "No, no, yeah, yeah, yeah." My grandma was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Y'all say whatever you want to say now." So she said what she had to say, and she handed me back the phone. So as soon as I got on the phone, he said, "Sharon." I said, "What?" He said, "I would never hurt you." So I'm silent. He said, "You believe I will hurt you? You believe I will bring you over here and treat you bad?" I said, I was silent, but for a while. Then I said, "I don't know." I said, "I don't know." I said, "I don't believe you would do it." I said, "But I don't know." I said, "When people get back in their countries, they do whatever they're gonna do. I mean, what could I do if I go out there? I'm out there. I could never get back to America." He said, "But see, you mustn't think that way. You mustn't think that way." He said, "Our culture take care of our people. We take care of our family." He said, "And I would never take a woman and treat her bad and treat her wrong. I would never do that." And To be honest, I could hear the intense in his voice, like the hurt, and I'm not gonna say he was crying because that's what I want to say. It sounded like he was in tears, but he said no. He said I would never do that. He said and I wouldn't let nobody do that. He said my family is rich. Do you hear what I'm saying? And I'm not saying this to get you to want to be with me because I got money. He said because I don't tell nobody this. He said, but my parents is rich. He said, we don't want for nothing. We run a business. My father had this business since his father had the business. And now he wants me to do the business now. I said, but what happens when you get down there and do this business and this is the business? You got to do this business. He said, yeah, I understand. He said, but that's not the plans. But my thoughts was, no, it's not the plans now. But God forbid you get down there and something happens, that becomes the plans. And now I'm away from my dad. I'm away from my grandma and all this. He said, I know. He said, so okay, this is what we do. He said, you could stay here, have the baby. That was the plan. You stay here, you have the baby. He said, and like, me, I'll stay down there for a year or mid-year, 6 months, whatever. He said, I'll try to get back up here within 6 months. If not, I'll stay down there for a full year. He said maybe after the baby is born, and you can come down, you can travel, you have somebody to travel with. Maybe that will give you a little security. If you want to bring a family member, you could bring a family member. You can bring whoever you want for security. He said, but I want you to come down there because I want you to meet my family. He said, I want you to meet my parents. He said, I done told my parents about you. I done told them that you was having a baby. And they are so excited. They want to meet you. I don't know why I couldn't talk to them over the phone, but I guess that's the +25 -689 232 +5 type of number. So anyway, so to cut that and make that story short, we wound up separating. He wound up leaving. I never saw him anymore. We spent together the last night together and all that stuff like that. And no, I didn't have the baby. And I never heard anything else from him. He wanted us to stay in touch. He gave me the number. He gave me all the information to his family house. He did. He gave it to me. He gave me the address. He gave me the phone number. He gave me their names. He said, even if you feel like you want to come up there, you just call me. He said, I'll get a plane. I'll get a how you say, I'll get a ticket for you. I'll fly you and your family or you and my child up, whatever. So I don't even know why I went into that. But just to go back into chasing, I wound up going to Utah and meeting Tracy instead. And you know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to come back to this story because I know the reason why I was telling the story, but I done ate myself tired and I'm gonna rest a little bit. And when I get that urge again to talk about what I wanted to talk about now before I got into that story, then I'll do so. So you get to hear the story of me before I met my husband.